Hello friends and fellow simmers, it's Captain Pete here. In today's video, I'd like to share the breaking news that A2A and Accu-Sim are coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. And enjoy the demonstration video.
Let me demonstrate why we simulate all these internal components of the engine. Let me show you an engine start. Each cylinder is sending pulses to this airframe. It's like having 6 big rubber mallets just pounding your airframe. Let me demonstrate 3 engine starts back to back. Same aircraft, same conditions. It took a little longer to start. Started right up. That was the longest out of all of them. But I hope you saw there is nothing scripted going on. In fact, those 3 engine starts were the next 3 engine starts that I took. I didn't have to retake these to show different engine starts. Okay, let's try this again, but only now in really cold weather. Now this is a cold-soaked engine. We just gave it 9 shots of primer, and I pulled up our engine analyzer that allows you to look inside the engine. Since the engine is so cold, I'm just going to crank it over a few times with the mags off to get the oil circulating. I just want to demonstrate how the cold affects how this engine runs. Here we go. Crack the throttle. That's a very cold engine. And look at the oil pressure. It's just coming up now. You can actually hear and feel that engine warming up. As it warms up, the RPM will increase. Oh, look how high that oil pressure is at a relatively low RPM. It's because the oil is just so thick. The pump is really working hard to move the oil. Now, we do have a weak cylinder. Just listen carefully. If you're ever in doubt, a good way to test your aircraft engine is bring the idle way down. See and hear that cylinder misfiring. Yeah, you see, that almost stalled. But this is what you go through when you fly an airplane. You pay attention to these little things because it's these little things that can become big things when you're flying in the air, especially when flying a single-engine combustion airplane. We also feature a complete walkaround where you can actually grab and feel the linkage in your control surfaces. There's a little bit of play there. It's because these are controlled by cables and pulleys. Little play, that's normal. This is exactly what it feels and sounds like to move the aileron. We'll jump to the tip tank. Tip tanks are awesome on so many levels. I'm going to add fuel here. I want you to listen very carefully. Just listen. Hear that? That's all the way up. Now I'm going to listen again. I'm going to take fuel out. I'm going to drain it. Hear that? Okay, that happens in the real Comanche. That's oil canning. That's basically the wing flexing a little bit, and some of the panels on the aircraft will oil can. They'll pop from one direction to another. That's normal. It's just part of flying with an aluminum-skinned airplane. Okay, so we'll go underneath, Now we use this jar and insert it into this drain to test if there's water in the fuel. But just for demonstration, I put some water in this tip tank. Now water is clear. It's not blue like the fuel, so when I start draining, you're just going to see clear liquid, which will be water. And once all the water is out, you'll then see fuel start coming into the jar, which will appear on top. Okay, see? That's water, right? Now watch. Keep draining. There we go. See it? Water, fuel. Let's drain that. Just make sure. Good. We'll jump ahead and show you a tie down. Master artist Miguel Pudo made these knots, real knots, and you can hear the sound that's actually pulling it through the Comanche loop. This is where we can chalk it up. And this is how we check our oil. There is a lot to know about what oil color actually is. Oil can go from very black to almost invisible and everything in between. We have a tutorial that explains what oil color actually is and why it's so important. And once you understand it, I promise you'll be changing that oil when it's black. The Comanche has 4 fuel tanks. This is the left main. And we support you visually checking the fuel levels, which is also something you absolutely have to do in flying airplanes. You cannot trust gauges. You got to see that fuel. And the Comanche has its own specific way of filling these tanks, and we will get into this as well in a tutorial. You can check the very important all-moving stabilator and also your rudder to feel nice and tight. And you also have a hands-on baggage station. A medium suitcase, a heavy equipment bag, a toolbox, a small personal bag, and if you've got another traveler, a very heavy suitcase. Aircraft tires are very small when compared to automobile tires, but as far as aircraft tires go, the Comanche has a full-size front tire that makes it great for grass strips. It's a true off-road airplane. That full-size tire out in front completely changes the experience when operating off-runway. And with it, soft field operations are so much fun. And that's because real physics are fun. Now, you're probably thinking, how did you possibly capture those ground sounds without the engine drowning out the recordings? Well, let me show you. Bumpy out here. I would call this light to moderate turbulence. And when you get those sort of bumps that you kind of almost hit your head in the ceiling, that's like moderate turbulence. And this is another thing that just we had to work on, is this feel that you get when you're in the cockpit, because it's very rare that the air is as smooth as glass. I'm going to say 1 out of 10 flights at maximum, at least where I'm flying in New England, the air is as smooth as glass. It's typically like this in a small airplane. And we just needed to deliver this experience. This is actually pretty calm. You might call this a light chop. This is nice flying weather. And it's just the feeling of the airplane pushing through the air. This is a little bumpier. It's like a light turbulence. Look at that wing. You can see the aerodynamics acting upon that wing. And that wing acts very differently when that tank is full The airplane is just absorbing all kinds of physics, from the engine, from the air, the airframe, the landing gear. It is all feeding feel to you, the pilot. And to experience this inside Microsoft's awesome world is for us the dream come true.
So there you have it, my friends. What an interesting video. Hopefully this will be launched pretty soon so that we could all enjoy it. Now, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, bye.